I'll make an opening statement and talk about Youngstown a little bit and then open it up for questions.
Yeah, Youngstown State and going on the roads, always a tough place to play, great program, and really a good football team. I know they're sitting and have had a couple tough games and probably a lot like us with some games that they felt like they could have won but didn't. Ton of respect for Coach Pelini, just the couple times playing against him. Just always has a football team that's well coached and look for them. I mean, they get better as the year goes on. You see that with his teams as they're going to fix some things, and so we got to be prepared. We've got to go up there and play our best football game on the road in the Missouri Valley. So got to have a great week of practice and just keep getting better.
What is your number one challenge this week?
Well, I think it's ourselves. I think we got to go up there and play up to our standard and play as good as we can. I mean, obviously within the game, we're going to have to stop them running the football. They got two really good backs. I feel like their quarterback is a really good quarterback. He transferred from Notre Dame and he's came and done a good job, and probably as the season goes on will continue to get better. New into the system, new there, figuring out what he can do best. And so they're a good football team that always plays good on defense. I mean, going against, his defenses always create some problems. He's one of the best defensive coaches in the country. So you're going to have to be able to run the football. You're going to have to play good on special teams. You're going to have to be able to stop the run. You're going to have to play good fundamental football to win the game.
After looking at the film, what adjustments did Dakota make in the second half as far as offense to thwart our defensive rush?
I don't know if there's necessarily any adjustments. Sometimes I feel like they didn't come out with a new scheme or new defensive front or new coverages or anything like that. It's really you got to execute for 60 minutes. So they didn't do anything new that we hadn't seen or we're scratching our head at. I mean, it was the exact same stuff as the first half. They executed better than we did in the second half. Same thing in the first half. We did a good job of, like I said, post game of having success on first and second down. That'll always be the success, the recipe to win against a team that likes to go up tempo and go fast. Is you can't let them have positive plays on first and second down, or they get going fast, and that's what their plan is. So they were able to do some things on first and second down, kind of getting a rhythm in the second half, and then go fast, and then they hit us on a couple big plays. Obviously, they took a shot on the -2, and Max Prode and hit a ball down the sideline, which was a big play in the game. Those are 50-50 balls that obviously we wish that it would have went our way. On that one, the guy makes a really good catch and on a defended ball, and then we give up a big pass play where we're in a zone coverage and they get 2-on-1 and didn't execute like we should. But we not much different. I mean, we just got to execute for an entire game.
On the long touchdown, Nick, and I don't know if you talked about this after the game, but Caesar let him go, and Albert, I think, picked a guy up that came in the middle. Was Caesar supposed to go with him, or what's supposed to happen?
Yeah, well, we were in a cover 2 defense, so Caesar's responsible for the flat, so he's going to pass it. I mean, a cover 2 beater. It's the first one of the first big plays we had. They were in cover 2. We hit Kilby down the seam because the safety played over the top of Ralph. So you get 2-on-1. I mean, that's what, if you play cover 2, teams are going to run 4 verticals on you. Try to get 4 guys going on 2. Safety's got to make a decision. Safety took the inside guy, and so any defense you call, that there's a weakness to it, and whenever you're an offensive guy and you got the right play called against the defense, and they executed, and Caesar can do a good job if there's not a flat, threat right now sinking and making it look a little bit different, you know, instead of coming on and making it clear to the quarterback right away. But they caught us they had the right call for the right defense at that time.
So is a cover two what Dakota was using against us? Seems like every time we threw to a receiver, there was at least two guys on, the safety and the cornerback.
Yeah, they did a good job. I mean, they mixed up their coverages. You know, they played, you know, on early downs. They were playing, you know, some too high, but they played their fair share of single high defense as well. So, you know, you got to have answers to both. You know, usually whenever they're a too high defense, you feel good about running the football. You can't get as many guys down in the box. You know, when you play single high defense, you're bringing an extra guy, an extra safety, trying to get more guys in there to stop the run. And teams like to pass. I mean, that goes back to when football was invented. You know, if it's single high and they got too many guys down in there, you got to find a good way to loosen them up, and then you take a guy out of there. You got to be able to run. So it's about numbers, and you know, so we just didn't really, you know, it wasn't a schematic thing or anything like that. I mean, when you go back, it's still the fundamental things, taking care of the football and executing. Probably could have done, you know, a better job. I felt like once we got down inside, you know, on a couple drives, we had some things, and then on a couple drives, probably, you know, could have did a better job putting them in some better spots. Looking back on it.
How did you feel Kilby did blocking wise?
Did a good job. He keeps coming along. You know, we were able to run a lot of our offense. He was in there in 11 personnel. Obviously, you see what he can do when he split out as a wide receiver, and then he's come a long way as far as he's got the right mentality. He's got to clean some things up fundamentally that he continues to work on, and did a good job.
Kraus started, had a couple receptions. How do you like his progress? Because he hasn't played football.
Yeah, no, really good. I mean, he's got a bright future. I mean, he's just he could be a special one, really, because he can do it all. You know, he can block. He's 260 pounds, but he can run. I mean, like he can really run. And so, and then it's just the experience. He's a quick learner. I mean, that kid's a elite athlete. You know, he drafted, pro baseball player, played every sport in high school, could have been a college player at all three sports. So he's just one of those guys that gets it. And then he has a maturity about him too. You know, that's what we talk about our developmental practice on Sundays. We talked about this in the team meeting. I've said that in here is somebody's going to be in that developmental practice on Sunday that's going to have to come out and start for us on Saturday. I didn't know when that was gonna happen, but it happened this past week. Kraus has been on every single one of those, is out there practicing with our redshirt freshman. He's 22 years old, and he's got the right attitude, and he's learning, and he's always asking questions, and he wants more reps and whatever it takes, and then all of a sudden he's thrust in there, and he did a good job.
I think one of these a few weeks ago after a scrimmage or something or other, you said your defense was going to be ready for everything because in practicing against your offense does everything. What do you want the personality for your offense to be?
Balanced, you know. We're gonna, whatever the defense gives you, do that well. You know, we pride ourselves in being in different personnels. You know, 10, 11, 12, 21, 22, 23. Different personnel groupings, play a lot of people, spread the ball around, take what the defense gives you. Obviously, I've said that from the beginning. We're going to run the football, attempt to run the football. We've done that every single game, just like you have to. You got to be balanced. We've rushed for over 200 yards, and I think every game, because you got to commit to running the football. Obviously, you got to have good backs and the offensive line, and so we still got a ways to go in that and continuing to get better. But I would just say, I mean, our identity needs to be a balanced football team that plays good fundamental football.
A couple of times from over there, you've had the question: how do you cut turnovers? Is it as simple as cutting turnovers to turn 17 points at the half into 28?
Yeah, no, I think that's what I said. I mean, every coach in the country goes in the game and has the talk with what's the keys to the game, turnover margin, can't turn the football over. You know, it comes down to, you know, the guys on the field have to have a sense of, you know, you got it. Some turnovers are going to happen. You know what I mean? I mean, you're going to watch the highest level, watch it on Sundays, the same talk's going on. You know what I mean? Take care of the football. I don't care if I was in Green Bay and talking, and you know you're in quarterback school and you're watching every pick from the year before with Aaron Rodgers. You know that might have thrown 13 or 15 of them that year, and yet why they happen. You know, some turnovers are going to happen. Some are preventable, and the ones that are preventable, decision making, whatever it is, then fundamentals with putting the ball on the ground, you know, is a thing that is a fundamental thing. How you're carrying the football, your mentality when you have two hands on it. If you're a quarterback, two hands on it in the pocket. All the things that you do in individual drills gotta come out and then be put there in the game. So those are the ones that you got to keep stressing. Trust me, we stress it, we show it, we practice it. And we've got to do a better job at getting the results.
Here's a hard one. How do you evaluate your quarterback play?
Well, we're 1-3. I've said that all along. I mean, that's starting with us as a coaching staff. But the number one stat of your quarterback is wins and losses, and so we got to play better. And so that'll never change. It's not about stats. It's not about anything like that. It's about playing winning football. You know, that's what we talk about when we grade them. Winning plays to you guys and the reporters. A lot, you know, a throw out of bounds is an incomplete pass, and to everybody in the stands, that's a negative play. You know, that's a winning play for us. You're outside the pocket, one of his, you know, best plays, graded on, watching the film. What a great play, you know, when we watch the entire 101 plays as an entire offense. We called a naked play. They covered it up great. They had a great defensive call, and we chucked it out of bounds. That's a great play. That's a winning play. And so those are what we have to do for all 101 plays, you know, and we've got to cut down those, you know, 10 or 12 plays that we're, you know, putting ourselves in tough situations. That's not winning football. We have to turn it around. So I would say anytime, any quarterback, if you ask, you know, how they're doing at anything, I mean, you got to look at you know, what are the results we're getting as a team? Because as a quarterback, that's what we sign up for is putting our team in the best situation and winning football games.
So are Sam's interceptions preventable, as you characterize, or are they just what's the problem there as far as the interceptions?
Yeah, I mean it's all the same answer I just gave. So I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, the first one's you know, not a good read, misread, ball that you just can't throw to play at a high level. So some of them are preventable. I said that last week. You know, like I'm not okay with them, but you know, tip balls at the line of scrimmage, yeah, or a drop pass or a tip off a shoulder pad and it gets picked. Those plays are going to happen in football.
But throwing into crowds is
right,
probably
yeah,
not.
Exactly. That's what I said. Those are 100% preventable.
Any injuries to report on?
No, I mean we had a pretty good. We got our bumps and bruises, but nobody that significantly came out of the game. Ben Bailey came out of the game and didn't finish the game, but was back in on Sunday last night as you know, as tolerated. So I look for him to be, you know, full go or at least practicing this week would be our biggest one.
Your starting fullback is
Mixon's okay to go.
Mixon,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mixon got banged up. Not as bad as it was. I'd say that's going to be a thing that is going to be the entire season. You know, hopefully we can go 3-4 weeks where he doesn't get it dinged and he can get back. You know, but after he got checked out, I mean, at Ole Miss, there were some questions. We got an MRI. There were some stability things, but got checked out, had a little swelling in there. Obviously, he took a helmet to the knee that he just got back from whenever he got hit over there on the sideline. So structurally, everything's good. It's just going to be a pain thing for him. Hopefully, we get him back into practice. He'll be limited. He's been limited all week, but we're hopeful that he'll play on Saturday.
Like turnovers, you're going to have penalties. Some are going to be more costly than others. The one I was going to ask you about, the chop block that Ralph almost scores on, was that an aggressive penalty or was that an execution penalty? In your opinion?
that it's tough. You know what I mean? Because it's especially with DJ Davis. I mean, that kid's heart's in the right spot and his effort is off the charts. And his attention to detail and wanting to know why and. So when that was on DJ, high load the guy. He's in pass pro. We talked about helping, staying in and helping on that situation. Podge kind of gets beat, kind of sees him out of his corner of his eye. He went low and hit him below the waist. Podge still had contact with him, so it was a high-low block, which can't do. Looking back, I know DJ feels bad about that. It's just staying up high. We had the same thing happen after that. He stays up high, and we would have, no result on the play didn't really need to happen, and those can't happen. So that's a tough one. Went to 4. That was on 4th and 4, and caught the ball and went down. Would have been a 4th down conversion to the 1 yard line, and instead it was a 15-yard penalty, and we had to punt. So that was a costly penalty. Penalties, another thing. I mean, you're not going to be, their penalties are going to happen in the game. I think they were penalized 16 times for 138. We were 8 for 78. So we've got to definitely clean some things up. The two that penalty, we were backed up and we had a false start that backed us up, to the 3 yard line, I think it was. And then really the kickoff return penalties were costly. Both were on a true freshman that's out there and just put us in a bad spot. We had to start the one drive, I think, at the 9 and the one at the 12. And, that's tough to do, to consistently go 90 yards and score touchdowns. So those are a lot of yards. We show those in the team meeting, the effect that it has on the team, how your percentages of going and scoring go down drastically. You know what I mean? If you start where you start at, every yard and returns matter. And so we've got to do a good job. We got to do a better job in our return game. Looking at some punt return things. We've got to be able to. Whether it's us holding up better we've played it more conservatively, getting the ball back. DJ's been our punt returner. He's had a pretty high, heavy load, probably had maybe one last week. They did a pretty good job with their punt team. Probably one that he could have maybe not fair caught, but it was also one that they put over inside the numbers. When you ask him, why'd you fair catch that? We were for sure going to get good field position about the plus 45, so he played it safe to get the ball. So you got to trust your punt returner too. If it comes off and he's got a good answer like that, then you just got to roll with it. So but we do need to get some explosive plays out of our return game.
I'll bet you're hard on yourself as the play caller. There was a second quarter, 3rd down play where you ran in the offensive zone that I had expected you to pass. Are you tough on yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, without a doubt. You go back and you watch those. If you're a coach, every coach is hard on themselves. As a play caller, I pride myself in trying to be, as best as I can be, and want to be the best. So, but that's one that I don't. To be honest with you, the end comes inside, and we had planned. Obviously, we've talked about that when you're play calling. You've got a list of plays at certain situations that you've game planned, and at 3rd and 10, I thought that they would run a line game and we could get the ball outside and block them up. And when you're in that situation, I felt like if we picked up 5 to 6 yards, we would go for it then on a 4th and short. So we were really trying to get half. If you run the ball for 5 or 6 yards right there, it was going to be a high 40-yard field goal. Now then it puts you in a place where you could go for it. So that's one of them that I don't wish that we had back. Would call that again.
Youngstown's a little bit more of a passing team than they've been the last couple of years. Are you surprised at that with McCaster and having 4 senior linemen?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I would say that they're, still hang their hat on running the football. And if I would, bet that, that's an emphasis this week on getting it home. Let's run the football. Let's get back to doing what we did. They had to play from behind, and they threw it 30 sometimes in the second half and did a good job of it. Brought them back and threw for, 400 something yards in the game. That's what I mean. He's a good quarterback, and he gives them. He's an athletic kid, and but they're 2 elite level backs, and preseason first team all conference back, and with a good offensive line, like you said, that's played a lot of football. And that's their staple, is to run the ball. They'll continue to do it, and we got to continue to stop it.
On the flip side, though, their pass defense is ranking near the bottom of the valley right now. What do you think about their pass defense, especially their DBs? They only have 2 interceptions. Yeah,
I don't even really look at stats. I watch the film and watch what their scheme is, and that's what, if you get caught up looking at statistics after one game. They played West Virginia, so I'm sure some of those stats are skewed. To be honest with them, they played them tight, and I would say if you ask West Virginia who's the best scheme against to stop them, there wasn't a lot of open dudes running around. They've got some really good skill players at West Virginia that made some plays. And then the same thing last week at Western Illinois. That's probably the one thing they're probably wishing. I mean, 2 of the touchdown passes for Western Illinois were really good plays by Western Illinois' quarterback, but one of them's a busted play that he scrambles around, heaves one up, could have easily been an interception. They probably think it should have been an interception, ends up being a touchdown. So, like I said, I mean, scheme-wise, you're not going to – they make it tough to throw the football, They match things up, they press you, they challenge you, they mix things up, the pressure. So it's nothing that we look at and say, hey, we're going to have a field day throwing the football here. There's a lot, they're going to be the same thing. They've had some different things that have happened, some kind of freaky plays that next week, you never know, might go the other way. So they're a good defense, they really are, and they're a good football team. They got the pieces. They lost a road game. I know they wish they had the Butler game back, early in the season, and then they went to West Virginia, and then they got beat on the road at Western Illinois. So this is a team I know that we'll be talking about in the Missouri Valley, so that's the way we're going to prepare for it.
Your young defense has 4 games into the season. Are they a little less young now?
Yeah, and four games older, you always find out about yourself. I mean, you're over a quarter way through, and you got to keep getting better. I mean, you got to take every mistake you make and growing pains as a way to grow. And so that's what I said. I mean, you want players, and for sure coaches that it just drives you to be better. A loss or something that happened. If you're looking for an excuse as a player of why this happened, instead of just owning it and finding out why it happened and get better from it. And I feel like with those, we've got a lot of guys like that. So we just got to keep getting better from all the schemes that we've seen and how teams are trying to attack us and adjusting. I thought we did a good job of adjusting from the SEMO game to the South Dakota game on things that we thought that they would take advantage of. We came in saying we're not going to let them run the football, and for the most part, besides a couple explosive runs, if you can hold a team to under 3 yards a carry, we'll take that every game. So 40 carries for 150 yards. I thought we did a nice job with a lot of tackles for a loss, 4 sacks. We just gave up the big play, and really the first touchdown, I wish we would have held them to a field goal, but we give them the ball at the 9-yard line to start the drive. So didn't really put them in a good spot either offensively. So I said that afterwards, we got to play together 60 minutes as a team in all three phases. There's areas that we got to get better at in every area.
I'm doing something on your. I see your football players out a lot in community service. Why was that important to you when you took this job?
It just part of what the program's all about. Is I always said that. I mean, you have a platform here, and you got to use it. You got to get out there and affect people's lives, give back. There's a lot of people here that support us. Southern Illinois is built around the Salukis, and the Salukis need to get out there in the community and give back to them, and so it's just a staple of what we want to be about as a program.
Does everybody have to get out at least once?
Yeah, everybody gets out at least once for sure. Our goal is to get at least 8 hours per player for the year, which would put us at a lot of hours, but a lot of those guys do that on their own. It's our job to give them opportunities. Hey, this is going on. Like yesterday, we had guys at the Special Olympics thing. On Friday, we had guys out at a Carterville school reading. Nigel Kilby. You get messages from and that's what I tell them. There's no secret on why you play good. I said that. I mean, we've got to get better in all aspects, and when you lead a life of discipline, then you're probably a disciplined football player. When you go to class on time, when you're out in the community and you're doing those type of things. Nigel, a perfect example of that. I get an email from one of Nigel's professors talking about his time commitment. He always is in the first row, and he's such a pleasant kid to have in class. And then I get an email from the principal at Carterville Elementary School about what an awesome job he did reading and dancing with the kids on Friday morning, and then he goes out and has his best game on Saturday. So, it's our job to give them opportunities to get out there, and then we feel, we have a lot of great kids in the program to do a great job out there.
Anything else?
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it.